I was once lost, and now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. Lines taken from a popular song called Amazing Grace. We see that this speaks directly to the subject that we have today, which is Abdulftah Younis, a man on the inside. Today, we're going to take a look at exactly who he is. We're going to look at some of the things that he's accomplished while he was living, and then finally his untimely death, with a few scattered little overviews over the nature of fear and terror and how things work in Libya today as it is right now. But let us begin with who Younis Fatah actually is. Now we see that he was a senior military officer, a major and general, second only to Gaddafi himself. And we know he was just murdered, but he was second only to him. Now he resigned from his post in February 2011, and he joined the rebel side in what became the 2011 rebel civil war. We see that his change of heart came from listening to the grievances of the people of Libya. When he listened to the things that they were saying and actually the problems that they were going through and facing every day, he saw that these things made a lot of sense. So he had to switch the side that he was affiliated with, and he began to fight for the people. Now we're going to look at a little later why that was a huge problem for the other people of Libya and the people who he was against, because that is a huge issue with a lot of Libyan people, especially on the opposite side of his rebel force, because they definitely do not want anything to oppose them or come against them. And if that happens, then there's going to be dire consequences to pay. And we see that he faced some of those consequences. Now, let us look at some of his accomplishments. We see that Younis has been a champion of peace for a while, and not just recently in 2011. We can date his peace meetings back to 1992, when he extended and offered a formal apology for Libya's involvement in the killing of Yvonne Fletcher. Now everyone knows that was a very popular case that happened a while ago, and he was involved with that, and he offered an apology on behalf of Libya for that and what happened. We see that he quickly became the commander-in-chief of the rebel army shortly after joining it. So he moved through the ranks rather quickly after he joined the rebel side. And finally, in another display of awesome peace, he offered support and compensation for the victims that were lost in the Yvonne Fletcher case as well. So we see that he definitely had a huge heart, and he wanted to do the right things. He wanted the correct things for Libya. He just got a little lost along the way. Now, a look at his untimely death. We see that he was reported dead on the 24th of July and was supposedly dead due to mysterious circumstances. However, it was later discovered that he was actually shot. And not only shot, in addition to being shot, he was burned. His face was burned. So this was definitely a crime of passion, as some would say, and it was very rough for him, and it was a message to display the message to the people of Libya: if you go against us, this is what's going to happen to you. Now we see that one likely and popular story is that he was killed because he was thought to be a double agent. So they thought that he was working for the rebel side and then coming back over to the side, to another side, you know. So they thought he was working for both teams, and they definitely didn't want that. So they killed him and they burned him. One huge suspect in this is Sheikh al-Salafi, an Islamic fundamentalist who follows the methods of terror in order to get what he wants. We see that these people, Islamic fundamentalists, are extreme people. It is their way or no way at all. And he's definitely someone who subscribes to this method of thinking. His views are, they have to be the views of the public, or there's going to be hell to pay for if it's not. He's a tyrannical person, and it's definitely speculated that he might be the next dictator over Libya right now. Let's move on a little further within our slides and look at the power of terror. Now this is where we move into the part of looking at how we can use fear and how fear was used to control people. This is his cousin. This is Ali al-Salafi. Now he's his cousin, like we said, and he's also an Islamic fundamentalist, and they use terror to get what they want. They use fear as a method to control the people. And of course, these people have been living under a dictatorship for a very long time. So it's going to be hard for them to not respond to the terror tactics that are happening to them. And let's look at some other characters in this. We see Abel Hakim Balaj, which is another fundamentalist. We have a pretty big lineup of bad guys here. There's a huge lineup of them, and he is another that is among them. Exactly the same type of thing, terror tactics. And we see that we can liken him to some of the other people who came to be big dictators, like Osama bin Laden, who we will see a little later on in the slides, and like Gaddafi and Hussein. These people are just like them. They have the same school of thought. They're just not quite as popular yet. But like we said, Sheikh al-Salafi might be the next dictator over Libya. We see that, again, silence is a weapon. Because the people, they stay silent. They do not speak out about this. They can't, because they get these horrible, people are beheaded. People are killed, they're stabbed, they're hung in public. So, as to make an example out of them. And so, they remain silent. When they see people in the streets with AK-47s and bazookas, they don't, what can they do? Their government is not such that they can speak out anyway. It's not like the government of the United States where the citizens have the power to say. It's not like that at all. If you speak out, many times the punishment is death. Now, let's go on, and we can see that this is an uneasy comparison, but it's something that people are doing. We're seeing on CNN, MSNBC, they're making this comparison between Osama bin Laden and Hakim Belhaj, and they're showing how these people are so similar that if we do not do something, and this is why the big debate is going on between whether America should step in or not, or continue to intervene as they've been doing. Because they're saying, if they don't try to stop this person before he gains that big of a following, then we're going to have the same thing that we had with Osama bin Laden, someone with a huge following of dangerous people who can get dangerous things done to the United States and other countries that they would choose to. So let's take a look at everything that we've seen today. We have seen that who exactly Mr. Younis is, Abdulftah Younis, and we've looked at him as a man on the inside, his many accomplishments, his untimely death, and finally, the problems that we have with fear tactics and using terror and silence as a weapon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.